Meet Dr. Noon S. Amun-Ra. He only eats one vegan meal a day. That's right, he only eats 1 hour a day, proving if you eat healthy, you will not lose muscle or lack energy. He even set a world record in deadlifting. But his goal is not bodybuilding or strength. It's anti-aging, longevity, and the highest quality of health and life. We're not telling people to eat only one meal a day, but we are here to show you what's possible with intermittent fasting and that we do not have to eat animal products in order to thrive. Only a handful of people on this planet have the determination to live this way, but it's amazing what happens when we do. Mankind is not supposed to have the health problems it does, and what we call aging is not normal. Let the wise words of this master teach, enlighten, and inspire you.
Hi, thanks for being here today.
It is my pleasure.
So, you only eat once a day.
That is so.
I saw a video of you on the internet where you were a deadlifting champion.
That is so. I'm presently the world deadlift champion, drug-free world deadlift champion in my particular class. I hold several world, national, regional records. Cyclic fasting, for instance, is known to potently promote growth hormone release. So throughout the duration of a daily fast, your growth hormone concentration tends to increase. If you combine that with resistance exercise in the evening, as you probably know, that increases testosterone production. When you sleep, that increases growth hormone production, IGF production. So we're talking about anabolic hormones that essentially promote the preservation of muscle tissue. So a regimen which entails daily cyclic fasting, evening resistance training, all of these things combine to enhance the preservation and also augmentation of muscle tissue.
So you're saying somebody who's in their 30s, 40s, and 50s can actually gain muscle?
If it is regimented, if it combines these factors,
right.
That is, increased growth hormone secretion as a consequence of protracted fasting.
Now, have you noticed that working out late in the day is more beneficial than working out earlier in the day? Or does it matter?
It does matter, and that is because essentially you want to enhance autophagy throughout the day. You want to be catabolizing your proteins, you want to be catabolizing stored sugar and stored body fat. But in the evening, you actually want to suppress autophagy in order to promote that preservation of muscle tissue. So it is resistance training that stimulates your skeletal muscle, that provides those metabolic factors that promote muscle retention. So yes, evening is best to do resistance exercise.
This is actually good advice for even women that are older, postmenopausal women, because working out your muscles is part of what keeps you young.
Indeed, indeed.
You got to do weight training. Even if you're an old lady, you got to work otherwise your bones go weak, everything starts falling apart. It's important. What you're saying is it helps keep you young. This isn't a vanity thing. It's part of what needs to happen in your life.
Indeed, indeed. And sarcopenia, that is age-related muscle wasting, muscle loss, is a major catalyst for premature mortality, especially in women.
Right. They say that the older you get, the more you lose muscle, the more you lose your hormones, the more you start slowly, basically falling apart. What you're saying is, if you keep working out, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
Yes, yes, that is quite so. You can definitely avert many of those changes and slow down that process.
So you found that you only have to sleep half as much as the average person.
Yes, that was one of the first things that I observed. I was able to do without as much sleep as I had previously, and I was able to recuperate from exertion far more rapidly than I had been in the past. I was simply interested intellectually in the pursuit of anti-aging studies, anti-senescence studies. And as I began to discuss this with my then girlfriend approximately 20 years ago, she said, "This is interesting. Caloric restriction, cyclic fasting, specific nutraceuticals, a refined diet. All of these things clearly, demonstrably, scientifically contribute to lifespan extension. And I explained how I was going to commence collecting data, writing a book, and she said, she is now my wife, by the way, Nunette Amun-Ra, why don't we do it? And it took some time to reflect on that, and I said, well, why not? And that was about a decade and a half ago. And through a few evolutions, if you will, we've been on the Amen regimen for approximately 15 years without fail. It entails a daily fast of 23 hours in duration, caloric restriction, that is, we consume approximately 1,000 to 1,500 calories a day. It entails specific nutraceuticals, that is, nutraceuticals that have been found to increase maximum lifespan in one or more organisms. It entails daily exercise. It entails meditation, ascesis, and basically that is the Amen regimen. Qualitatively, the diet is devoid of meat and centers on specific staples, if you will. Basically, nuts, grains, tubers, dried fruit. We always eat in the evening. We consume our evening meal, our main meal, after our evening resistance regimen. Our exercise is typically organized in such a way that in the morning we engage in so-called persistence exercise, what you might call aerobics. In the afternoon, there's typically another aerobic session, time permitting. And in the evening is the resistance exercise session. And this can entail a number of different standard, conventional weightlifting exercise with integrated weighted yoga postures in between sets. And after this evening resistance session is meditation, our final meditation session, because meditation is interspersed throughout the day. We meditate in two different postures, and one of those postures I can demonstrate to you briefly. This posture is called Aru Aha, that is the standing form. And this is the posture that I typically assume in my briefer periods of meditation, say 10 to 15 minutes. Aru Aha is a composite Egyptian term, and it means, again, standing form. The ultimate intent of all minimalist meditation is to progressively produce a state of sustained tranquility where ideas, images, emotions are expurgated from the mind. There are essentially 10 domains of interventional studies, what I call the tetractys of anti-aging interventions. Several are fundamental. They include caloric restriction, cyclic fasting, and specific nutraceuticals, and a range of discrete genetic modifications that alter specific physiological phenomena in organisms. Almost all of them will entail either an increase in the optimization of autophagy, and that is simply a process that enables the body to renew its tissues. Glycation is an important phenomenon. Glycation is that process whereby circulating sugars bind to protein, lipids in the body, and render them resistant to renewal, that accelerates aging. You also have fat accumulation or adiposity. That has been found to increase the rate of aging and limit lifespan. But more specifically, it's been found that the extirpation of adipose, the diminution of adiposity, increases maximum lifespan in mammals and other organisms.
People are going to look at you and say, there's no way you can have that kind of muscle and not eat for 23 hours a day. I mean, I know the body's more efficient, but people are going to say, well, doesn't your body start eating up the muscle after a while?
Actually, limited muscle catabolism is a good thing. Limited tissue catabolism is a good thing. And it might be illuminating to conceive of it in this way. The vast majority of the solid component of your body consists of proteins. And each of those proteins that constitute our proteome, so to speak, have a definite lifespan. And the integrity and health of your body is largely dictated by the integrity of your individual proteins. So if you are